Buon pomeriggio a tutti, grazie dell'invito pervenuto.
I would like to bid a very warm welcome to all of you. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this conference. I would like to thank Mr. Day Slapning and all other organizers. Also, I would like to greet all the participants coming to this conference, and I would also like to warmly welcome all cooperative representatives. I wear two hats today. First, I'm the Vice President of the Venezia Giulia cooperative, and I'm also representative of a big cooperative. We have 600,000 members. Our turnover exceeds 1 billion euro. We have more than 5,000 employees. I will talk about as a representative of the Legacoop cooperative. We heard this morning that Italy is making an attempt to establish a cooperative alliance, and we do hope that soon we will extend this association, which will operate in the entire region of Italy, enabling us to do away with all political barriers which created divisions in the past. So we will move forward, and we will move together only if we are joined together. I will, of course, talk about my association, which is the National Association. And here you can see the relevant data. This slide shows new types of cooperatives since the beginning of the year. And this crisis affected not only the global economy, but also people, individuals, and states. And also it had a negative impact on their future prospects. The data reveals that we have different results compared to other factories and institutions which are closing down. People are losing jobs. The slide reveals that cooperatives have been able to do something that other entities were not able to do. Namely, we have one example of a social cooperative, and we have about 4,000 social cooperatives which have been able to create jobs. Then you can see my next slide showing us the turnover amounting to 5 million in 2010, and new jobs have been created in the sector. About 500,000 new jobs. Here you can also see that this social cooperative, employing more than 3,000 people, accounted for 20% of the total turnover. If we also include the sector of transport and logistics, we can see that more than 4,000 new jobs were created in the period. Although I didn't include everything I will tell you now, this doesn't mean that all new cooperatives emerging in 2011 and 2012 are listed, because we have quite a number of those. Their numbers grew, the sector expanded in 2011 and 2012. We are seeing the emergence of new cooperatives which are thriving successfully. Then we also saw many new cooperative consortia in 2010. These consortia had a turnover exceeding 4 million euro. When it comes to the distribution of new cooperatives in Italy, it reveals that we have 64% of new cooperatives which are located in the north and central part of Italy. So this region of northwest, cooperatives generated over €1 billion of turnover. The same goes for the central part of Italy. Therefore, cooperatives have more than 4% of GDP. Here you can see the development of cooperatives in Italy in times of crisis. This reveals certain elements which call for further reflection, and these elements need to be duly considered when we elaborate our future strategy. What is important is to cooperate, to come up with new initiatives and to create new opportunities. At the end of 2010, we had 150,000 new jobs within the cooperative sector. These numbers do not include all autonomous and independent co-workers. And it's also important to note one thing, namely to consider new cooperative consortia. There were more than 450 of those created in the past period. Then it is also very important to note that new cooperative networks have emerged, and we need to assess their efficiency. In other words, what are cooperative potentials? How can we network? Results are very promising, especially in the times of crisis. I'm speaking about intergenerational forms of cooperation, which prove to be extremely resilient. These types of organization do not have adequate funding for their operation. Having said that, they have still been able to maintain jobs, although conditions are more difficult when compared to profit-making companies, which, however, had to lay off people. The objective of cooperatives is to preserve jobs. They want to make sure that everybody has a job. Some companies are funded by the government. Unfortunately, we don't have legislation enabling us to have direct funding for cooperatives to be provided by the government. For that reason, cooperatives are fully independent, and consequently they are more resilient and more flexible in their operation. Cooperatives combine, they form different alliances and consortia, one of them being Legacoop, as well as GFS. We also have different other types of consortia. Let me also mention cooperatives and their connection with the local environment. Cooperatives play a very important role in local communities. If we look in the area of agriculture, agricultural cooperatives export more. In fact, their export numbers doubled. I will present you with a couple of interesting data when it comes to food and agricultural sectors. I would like to apologize because there is a mistake on the slide. The relevant percentage is 49 million and not 4.9 million as it is indicated on the slide. As for methodology, when we speak about COP and CONDO, which in total account for about 45%, we still need to consider other types of cooperative movement. It is very important for our system to have good health services, and we also have different forms of supervision when it comes to different products, services which are provided by our members, and this also goes for suppliers. They are all subject to strict controls and inspections. We speak a lot about the leading sectors, and we speak a lot about the best cooperatives. Granarola is one important example. Maybe this is the biggest and most important company in Italy in the sector. That in terms of wine industry, we have Jeff, and a wine growing cooperative from the region of Reggio Emilia. If we speak about logistics and transport, we also need to talk about services and the service sector in general. Research and innovation, technological centers, and universities. This is my next topic. If we want to maintain competitiveness in the future, we need to strive for further development. We need to introduce new products and new services. We need to innovate when it comes to production services and technologies. We can only achieve this if we network and if we cooperate with the academia. Today, globalization also means that you need to make your products global. We all need to combine our resources, and we need to invest in development and growth. We speak about the cooperative sector, and we also talk about partnership, not only development. This enables us to survive and to remain viable. Then different strategies can only be successful if people trust one another, if they respect one another, regardless of individual brands the people represent and believe in. Trust needs to be reinforced, and the value of products need to be set within a context which is just and equitable. By way of conclusion, let me tell you that roots are very important if these fruits are to thrive and bear fruit. The same goes for cooperatives. Every tree, every new year brings new fruit. And I hope that cooperatives will also bear fruit and that this year's harvest will be successful as well.